The following programme contains topics surrounding disordered eating and exercise that some viewers might find distressing. I've had body image issues since I was 4 years old. My name's Nicole, and around 6 years ago I developed an eating disorder called orthorexia, even though it's not medically recognised. But what is orthorexia? There seems to be a lot on my plate. In all the time I've suffered with orthorexia, I've met very few people who'd heard of the term, let alone who had suffered from it. But I travelled up to Glasgow to meet Victoria, who defines it as the eating disorder loosely based on health.
Just because it is an obsession with clean eating, but your version of what health and purity is, I think.
The term orthorexia nervosa was created in 1996 by Dr. Stephen Bratman, who used it to describe people whose pursuit of health was actually causing them malnutrition and other health impairments. And just like any other eating disorder, someone from any walk of life can develop it.
I started having body image issues, like every teenager, I suppose. I had a very traumatic high school experience in teenage life, so I think a lot of trauma kind of pushed that forward, and I'm a massive perfectionist, and then I think being in that and then being in a lot of circumstances that are uncontrollable, I just grasped onto this thing that I felt that gave me a lot of control.
While I was in Glasgow, I also met Adrienne, who spoke to me about the control she had over preparing her breakfast when she suffered with orthorexia.
So for me, it would have had to have been made like a very kind of specific way to make sure it was like fresh enough and it hadn't been like sitting amongst maybe the other food or, you know, anything like that. And then even things like chocolate spread would not even make a feature in this. And it would have to be like as simple as possible. I couldn't overwhelm it, because if I felt that I was overwhelming it with like different toppings, then I was convinced through my orthorexia that what I was doing was harmful towards my body.
Symptoms of orthorexia include a focus on food's quality and a desire to increase health, which overlaps with symptoms of anorexia, where someone will feel guilt for breaking food rules and will have a determination to achieve a certain body image. Someone with anorexia will have a focus on food quantity and a preoccupation with becoming obese, which overlaps symptoms of OCD with low moods and secretive behaviour. In OCD, there can be obsessive behaviours in any aspect of life. This overlaps with orthorexia with an obsession about food contamination and rituals when it comes to food preparation. And symptoms all these conditions have in common are memory and focus problems, anxiety, and perfectionism.
Because I kind of got into the mindset of like, I want to be strong, not skinny, but in doing that I was severely under eating and severely over exercising.
While perfectionism is shown in the way a sufferer will control their food, it is also exhibited in their excessive exercise habits. Tamzin has also suffered with orthorexia. She described the way she would exercise, which is extremely similar to my own experience.
I would kind of go to the gym for 2 hours a day, often having only eaten like 100 calories. I remember there was this hill that you had to walk up to get to the gym, and I would be walking up this hill and I would feel faint and I would feel like I was going to like keel over. But then I would still go and like squat my body weight, which was just like made no sense for me to be doing that.
If you or anyone you know might be affected by the issues raised in this programme, please contact BEAT on 0808 801 0677 or find help on www.beateatingdisorders.org.uk.